شو اسمك عمو؟ انت وين ابوك؟ وين مات؟ شنو متريقة متغدية متعشية؟ احكي.
When Sudan and Syria are struggling through violence, political unrest, and poverty, why do their stories often go unheard? Are we turning a blind eye, or is the world simply too busy to listen? War has shaped our history in ways we often choose to forget. Behind every number is a name, a story, a life lost. In Sudan's deserts and Syria's shattered cities, wars have changed millions of lives forever. Behind the battles are stories of family torn apart, communities destroyed, and the struggle to rebuild. Sudan and Syria share the human cost of these conflicts, stories of survival, courage, and hope in the face of loss. This is more than a story of war, it's a story of people fighting to live and heal.
Sudan is currently struggling with a severe humanitarian crisis caused by an ongoing conflict between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces, which began in April 2023. This conflict has ruined civilian life, leading to widespread violence, displacement, and economic collapse. With millions fleeing to neighboring countries for refuge like Chad, Egypt, and South Sudan, over 24 million people need humanitarian assistance.
On the 15th of April 2023, the Rapid Support Forces attacked the bases of the Sudanese armed forces, most notably Khartoum and its airport. The Sudan Civil Aviation Authority closed off the airspace around Sudan when the fighting began, and by the 23rd of April, there was almost a complete internet outage in the country due to the attacks which had hit some of the power grid. After the first few days of the war, the Sudanese armed forces got reinforcements from the Ethiopian border. Over 2/3 of major hospitals are out of service, and the ones that remain face shortages of staff, medical supplies, food supplies, water, and electricity. Millions without access to critical care and leading to concerns about disease outbreaks like measles and cholera, which have already reached 28,400 cases.
Conflict has severely damaged agriculture and supply chains with famine conditions. More than 26 million people need help, and most of them are malnourished. Humanitarian aid is often deprived. In Darfur, ethnic tensions are fueling mass killings and displacement. Thousands of civilians have been killed and millions have been displaced internally and across borders.
Neighboring countries taking refugees in from Sudan are struggling to manage the arrival of refugees. Inflation and job losses have stripped millions of basic income sources, further pushing families into poverty. Essential goods like food and medicine are scarce and expensive for lots of people to afford.
The crisis in Sudan highlights the devastating impact of unresolved political conflicts in vulnerable populations. Humanitarian aid is needed, and you can help them.
In a new world impacted by the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the conflict in Gaza, the Syrian civil war is almost entirely forgotten. Now it is back in the international spotlight. The Syrian war has remained unresolved since 2011, but has flared up again after the capital city Aleppo was captured by opposition forces. More than 300,000 deaths, about 1.5% of the pre-2011 population. In 2014, ISIS took over large areas in Syria and Iraq, declaring a caliphate and trying global military action. In 2015, Russia started airstrikes to support the Assad government, changing the war's direction. In 2016, the battle for Aleppo was a major event. With Russian help, the Syrian government took back the city from the rebels. These events shaped the Syrian civil war, leaving deep impacts on Syria and the world. As Syria rebuilds, the scars of the war remain.
What's your name and what class are you in?
My name's Ayan and I'm in year 11.
Have you ever heard of the Syrian Civil War?
I have.
What do you know about it?
Not much.
Have you ever heard of the Sudan Civil War?
No.
What's your name and what class are you in?
My name's Francesco and I'm in year 11.
Have you ever heard of the Syrian Civil War?
No.
Have you ever heard of the Sudan Civil War?
No.
What's your name and what class are you in?
My name is Kate and I'm in year 11.
Have you heard of the Syrian Civil War?
I have heard of the Syrian Civil War.
What do you know about it?
Not a lot.
Have you heard of the Sudan Civil War?
I have, yeah.
And what do you know about that war?
Nothing.
At the time of recording, some recent news has surfaced. On December 8, 2024, Bashar al-Assad's regime in Syria fell due to major attacks by opposition forces, including Tahrir al-Sham and the Turkish-backed Syrian National Army. This marked a significant turn in the Syrian civil war that started in 2011.
Following this loss, Bashar al-Assad fled the country and was granted a personal escape route from Putin. He is now somewhere in a hidden estate in Moscow. The UN estimates that there are 1.1 million people that have been displaced since the country was plunged into unrest due to the regime's collapse.
From a survey we conducted, we asked the year groups year 7 to year 11 if they knew about the two wars, and if they did, how much did they know about them. From the results of the survey, we concluded that older students are more likely to have more knowledge about the two wars.
We can also see that the Sudanese war is more unknown than the Syrian war is, and there is little to no correlation between gender and knowledge on the topic.